Hi everyone, and thank you for attending this very first edition of the DevoTalk Roundtable. My name is Mikkel Christensen, and I work as Business Automation Director in DevoTeam. Today I'm here with my good colleague Pedro. Hi Pedro.
Hi Mikkel, I'm Pedro Campos. I'm the Business Consulting Director at Bold by DevoTeam in Portugal. Very happy to be here with so experienced people and with you, Mikkel. Sorry we couldn't meet physically, but perhaps in the near future we can do that.
Thank you, Pedro. And so today we are also here with Clementine Gauthier, RPA Domain Manager with Carrefour. Hi, Clementine.
Hi, Mikkel.
And Jakob Westgren, Head of Digital Process Automation with Transcom. Hi, Jakob.
Hey, everyone.
And last but not least, Duarte Reis, Customer Experience Director with Unilabs. Hi, Duarte.
Hi, Mikkel. Hi, everyone.
Good to have you all here. So at DevoTeam, we work closely with large private and public sector organizations on new tech adoption and on getting the most out of these new productivity tools. We call this area business automation, and it covers a wide range of technologies such as low-code for business apps, robotics or software robotics or RPA, low-code, no-code, and BI tools for data management, and so on and so forth. Also a number of methodologies and ways of working. And on the one hand, we see many successful cases in the market of companies that are implementing and scaling automation programs with good success and also with some significant transformational impact. But on the other hand, we also see examples of cases where companies are investing a lot of resources, but the results are not really showing. And there are a lot of moving parts when introducing and scaling business automation. And some of the more critical factors that has nothing to do with technology and are often overlooked when companies are embarking on their automation journey are indeed some of the topics that we will be addressing today. And the topics are the people aspects and the governance side. So let's get started. But first, let me know what is cooking right now. What is the key topic that grabs your attention these days? You want to go first, Jakob?
Yeah, sure. No, but so in my world, I'm focusing a lot at the moment on trying to get my head around attended automation. Transcom is a heavy front office company. We have 30,000 people working in front office environment, and we have done a lot of classic unattended and RPA kind of implementations over the last years, but now we're turning a lot more into human in the loop and attended automation, where you run automation on the screen of the user. And we learned that is something, from a technology-wise similar to back office and RPA, but it's still something from an implementation perspective completely different. And we're learning that both by, both the hard way and by trying to figure things out beforehand, but it's taking up a lot of my time at the moment.
Clementine?
So right now at Carrefour, I would say that we are essentially working on new use cases for our main businesses, which are human resources and Carrefour Bank. And in the meantime, we are also working with new businesses who have never developed automated processes before. And our team has to onboard them, challenge and help them until their processes are in production. So that's our main topic for the end of the year.
Makes sense. Duarte?
Yeah, right now we are living very exciting times at Unilab. So for the past couple of years, we have been leading an enterprise-wide customer-centric transformation program with the three major areas of focus. So first one, we're shifting towards omni-channel business model, so investing a lot in both digitization initiatives, improving our value proposition and customer journey with the digital and phygital elements. We're also been continuing to forge a data-driven organization, so making sure that we are democratizing the access to data to all our associates. And the third area, which I think is the one that brings us to this conversation, has to do with enabling further organizational simplification, namely by ramping up business automation. So we have been starting right now with some impactful pilots, and we'll follow with a scale-up program to ramp up really fast.
Interesting.
Nice. Perhaps, Miko, I can pick from here because, well, Clementine and Duarte, they mentioned two topics that are quite interesting that tends to mix with the topic that we discussed here, that is around scaling automation. And they talk about different areas that are testing and are experimenting new use cases and so on. And there is an important topic on this that is normally people. I'd like to understand from your point of view, because, well, a few years ago, and that perception is changed a little bit, people normally felt some threat that the robots may replace them or may make them lose their job in the end. Considering that, for instance, in Carrefour and Unilabs, you are talking about expanding to new areas with new cases, for instance, is something that you are seeing, this barrier that people tend when they integrate with service companies or internal companies to deploy new robots? Do you see these barriers, or people are already seeing these, let's say, digital workforces like RPA working together with them in a daily basis, very, very natural? Perhaps Clementine, I don't know if you want to start.
Yeah, sure. So my point of view in our Carrefour context, where we develop processes almost exclusively for employees working in our headquarters, that they don't see automation as a threat anymore. Employers, they are very busy and they resent those recurring tasks, of course, and they are very inclined to have those tasks automated. So I don't think they are afraid for their job, especially since they can see that robots only do a small part of their daily tasks. But I would say that what is difficult is more change management. Employees are used to work a certain ways, and introducing robots where they have to understand some technicalities sometimes can be difficult, and it usually implies that they need to work differently and they need to put in place new workflow, and they also need to trust the robots, the processes, and make sure it's safe, it's secure. And I would say that's the most challenging for us right now, more than employees being afraid for their job.
So change management definitely is a hot topic.
Yes.
Duarte, on your side,
so I think that from my perspective, that fictional notion that robots and machines are replacing employees in companies, much like a matrix world, is something from the past. So I think right now, our associates, that they no longer fear or express concerns regarding automation. I think that they nowadays see automation as a critical business transformation enabler for one hand, and also as a core competence that, if not all of them, at least many of them will need to master in the future. So when in our case we think about reskilling and upskilling initiatives, business automation must be a top skill and a top priority when you think about that. I think other thing that is influencing this new vision regarding automation from employees has to do with, if you think about business automation, it's a bit like the business process reengineering with steroids. So it's a tool to improve effectiveness, efficiency, and as employees start seeing tangible results and start understanding that with that they can refocus their time, they can refocus their effort, their energy in much more value-added tasks, in much more self-fulfilling initiatives, then they are on board. So what you are seeing is that with the results of proofs of concept and of small pilots that we start implementing, mentalities start to change.
Okay, nice. I don't know, Jacoby, if you want, feel free to jump in and add something.
No. Yeah, but so I agree with both of you, and maybe especially you, Clementine, there, that people, at least in what I see, they're not really afraid of their jobs, but they are really afraid of changing how they do things. And also it's also a lot about letting people in to show what you are doing today. So when we automate something, we need to do a thorough kind of due diligence in the area, and often that brings us a lot of questions. why we do this and why we do that, and can't we do it in this way, and so forth. And I think sometimes the users who are performing these tasks today are feeling, a bit like someone else is stepping into their baby and in their area, and I think that can create a bit of hesitancy, but not kind of losing the job as such, I would say.
Yeah, nice. So what I understand from your words, change management and, well, starting small but thinking big definitely is a good approach for companies that they want to scale automation inside their organizations. Nice, thank you so much.
So I was thinking perhaps a bit along those lines that I mean the vast majority of business value that can be created with business automation resides within business. So how do one thing is that employees are not really, what do you call it, has anxiety about the robots anymore. I mean that's probably over in most places, but how do we onboard the business in a way that they can actually lean forward and be part of the, you can say, modernization or part of scaling automation? What are your thoughts on this?
I can go. So I think this is a crucial point, and our model is really that we try to push a little bit on getting something small into a unit, basically showing the potential of what it can do, and also for people to understand the concept of automation. And when we do that successfully, typically that starts some kind of snowball effect where ideas and so forth, come into play. So helping, pushing a little bit on the first small proof of concept typically starts that kind of engagement going a little bit, and people say, okay, it can do this, but then we can also add this and do that and so forth. I think that has worked pretty well for us.
Is there also a cultural aspect in this? I mean, the process mindset, the idea of taking it. Sorry.
Yes, and I think it's also very different in different kind of roles. People who have more production-alike roles are not, trained and not hired to come with, improvement ideas, but people who sit in more headquarter roles and work with processes, a lot, then it's a big difference. So I think, implementing this in a back office unit where they are used to working a lot with process efficiencies, then they also have the kind of mindset also how to flesh out automation opportunities. But going into a unit who doesn't work very process oriented is a bit of a bigger challenge.
Makes sense. Duarte, any thoughts on this?
Yes. I think that, and we've learned from the hard way from some initial automation initiatives that we developed a couple of years ago, that first you need to focus on training and on capability building of employees since the beginning of the process. That is critical to have them on board, to have them feeling empowered, developing these kind of initiatives. I think that the other thing has to do with selecting who will be the right champions to lead and to act as advocates of business automation initiatives inside the organization. So if it needs to be people that have a very continuous improvement mindset, that have intellectual curiosity, that have the ability to reach out across the whole organization, because they are the ones that will lead these efforts, and they also will be responsible for what we could call a continuous cross-fertilization of knowledge regarding automation throughout the whole organization. So I think this is a key aspect, and I think that for this to happen, we really need to try different approaches and different, we could call it organizational models, with a much more agile and decentralized focus, because that will give us the speed to make better, faster decisions, and also ramp up really fast regarding business automation. So this, when we talk about this change management process and this need to infest the whole organization with this new culture, it's critical, and it's the way that we at Unilabs have been implementing other kinds of projects, and it's the same way that we are applying right now regarding our automation efforts.
I think that's super interesting because what you're saying is that it's quite crucial to pick the right change agents, so to say, to champion the initiatives. So how do you actually recruit them? How do you onboard them? How do you identify them even? Any tricks?
In our case, I probably say that it would be easier because, as I was saying, I think we have been experimenting for about maybe 2 years with a concept that it's, I think, well known. It is the concept of the team of teams. So having a very decentralized organization where you have small teams of really well selected, very young people that have that drive and that dynamics to impel the organization forward. And so we already know, in our case, many of the first ambassadors that we'll need to have in place regarding the business automation. But as I said, in the end, it has a lot to do with some core characteristics and competencies that I've mentioned. So that that intellectual curiosity, that mindset of trying to identify improvement opportunities, to try to address pain points of processes, a little bit of an interest, of course, for technology, because that's also a part of it. I think if you can spot the associates inside the organization that have this kind of profile, we have to bring them on really early on the process and involve them on the initial transformation initiatives.
I think it's a lot about the people skills as well, and being able to kind of facilitate good dialogues with people who knows the business and who knows the operations, and really, you know, work with people for them to basically share their knowledge and share their pain points, and it's easier said than done, I think.
Clementine, any thoughts on this? You wanna or?
Yeah, just to add to what Jakob was saying, I think that to champion initiative, we have to keep in mind that some of the best automation ideas come from the bottom up. And so from the business users who are the closest to the problems and best positioned to identify solution. And for me, I think employees have a role to play in this, but the culture of the company and the governance play a role also, because they have to be heard, and companies need to have a lean approach on this and accompany employees for that change.
Great.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Miko, let me pick on this because, well, governance is my topic, and definitely is something that I would like to follow. We talk about, for instance, POCs. We talk about starting small. We all know that we can do POCs. We can start small, but sometimes the continuity can be an issue. Of course, we've been mentioning about different approach models. We know that for these agents of change and champions are key issues, but by the moment that those agents of change and those champions, they help the business create, let's say, a huge pipeline of opportunities to automate, sometimes can be an issue, the decision, okay, what should I automate first? Because, okay, we all know that in the essence, in the end, everything can be automated, but sometimes we tend to go to automate some activities or process that don't give the expected value that you want in the end there. And we have another one on the side that we could pick first. What is your vision on the governance and on the decision process? Okay, so where should we start and where should we go? And how can we measure the benefits? Because when we talk automation, it's the same thing around projects. We all know the numbers that 70% of the projects don't give the expected benefits to the organizations. Okay, in automation, we can have a little bit the same. So how can we governance this, or how do you have that in your organizations, and what's your point of view on this? Anyone want to start?
I can start. Okay. I think in Carrefour, we are definitely not perfect on that. We can still work on it. How do we choose the project that we are going to work on? We are choosing them based on ROI. So we calculate how much time is saved for an employee or a team, and then we developed the automated process that's gonna add to that, and then we try to monitor it. But I would say we have to make more effort on that, definitely. And it works. We work differently depending on the projects. Some projects are only developed based on ROI, and other ones we will have, as Duarte was saying earlier, champions going to the businesses, trying to find new ideas, and we work closer with the business, where on other cases we just have businesses coming to us. They have an idea, they have a pretty good ROI for them, and so we develop the process. But I think, as I was saying, the monitoring is a big thing, and I think we should definitely work on that.
Great. Right.
And I agree what Clementine was saying, and trying to add something up. So in our case, I think that we also try to have a mandatory link to value logic for all initiatives. So we need to establish that in order to prioritize our efforts, in order to rally the organization behind what are the key priorities and goals. But in the end, I also think that it has a lot to do with having what you could call a balanced portfolio of initiatives. So for sure, we need to have some initiatives that are here and now, that deliver quick wins and have a focus on producing tangible benefits with a strong return on investment. But that has to be balanced with other initiatives that have a much more, we could call it effectiveness focus, which are much more into what you could say improving quality, reducing errors, because they will help to drive breakout performance on the long run. So for sure, we need to have the more hard ones regarding the way we have quantified benefits from them, but also others that will complement them in this portfolio approach.
Nice.
So just to understand, Duarte, sorry, just to understand, so what you're saying is that you are trying to strive for a balanced portfolio with the process candidates that in some cases has cost reduction as the main driver, but in other cases has other quality parameters as the key element in the business case. Okay.
Yes, because in the end, I think that, and it's at least our perspective, business automation shouldn't be seen as an end itself, as solely a way to deliver efficiency gains. Sure, that it's a very critical part, and in our case, really very critical. But it is also a means to improve our overall customer experience, and for that, sometimes the benefits can be measured such easily, but they will produce that effects on the longer term.
Yeah, when you're talking about customer experience, sometimes they are not tangible in the immediate time. Okay, it's only on the long run that you see that, right? Jacob, do you want to add something?
Yeah, but so I think it's important to understand from the sponsor or the business owner what the focus is. You know, if you engage with various units have different problems and different focus areas, and often efficiency is, you know, the driver of business automation. But you can have different problems under efficiency. Some units might have, you know, we have a lot to do every Monday morning. That's our main pain point. Or in general, we are too few people, or we have too long handling times, or too long queues and stuff like that. And you need to understand a bit more in detail about, you know, the business pain points, and by that maybe selecting the right candidates for automation. It's easy to go and look for, you know, highest volume, longest handling time, and then you pick that one and then check, it's done. But then you will struggle a bit on picking the next candidate, because the next candidate might then be another part of the unit, and then you're facing a risk of pinching small holes all over the place when you're just picking the theoretical best case instead of looking into one area where we know we have problems, and then you automate kind of the hell out of that area, and then move into the next problem area. And I think, you know, obviously there's as we talked about here, there is, you know, you can combine two strategies, but I think it's important to not only just, you know, rank the top 10 processes and then go and execute, but actually really trying to understand what would make a real impact for business users, and how can you really allow them to take out some benefits and not have these small holes over the organization.
Then we're also flirting with moving closer to transformational impact, right? So to simply change the way business is done in a unit.
Yes.
Interesting.
Okay, nice. Thank you all. Thank you all. It's very interesting to
Peter,
see.
let me just add something that I was just thinking on what Diego was saying, is that I think that's something that everyone will also agree, and it has to do with this decision-making process regarding what should be the candidates, which ones deliver the benefits, be it more tangible or not. Also has to do with the involvement and the sponsorship from the top management, because in the end, they are the ones that should set the direction, that should align the organization into the right priorities and the right candidates. Of course, with advisory and inputs from the teams that are on the field. And as Clementine also said previously, this is as much as a top-down approach as a bottom-up approach. So it's a convergence of both of them. But I think that sponsorship of the leadership is critical.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But all of you mentioned something that's extremely important. We need to take a look at this as a balanced portfolio, like you mentioned, Duarte, and also Jacob also mentioned the part we need to monitoring this constantly. Okay, we cannot define this one time only and live with this for several months or a year. We need to keep looking at this every Monday or every first day of the month, just to see that we are picking the right process and the right activities to automate, because something may have changed in the business nature of the organization. Great, thank you.
But I also think perhaps there is a little bit of a disconnect, because I think you can actually verbally convince senior managers that a good business case can be more than just paying time back to business or freeing up time or driving costs down. But it's just at the end of the day much easier to communicate hard KPIs than the qualitative ones, right? So there is a little bit of a challenge there. So if you have a good idea on how to convey the message of soft qualitative business advantages, I would like to get that PowerPoint deck to steal from, so to say.
And the only way is to really start measuring it. Just saying that it also has a positive customer experience is not enough. I think it needs to be measured and improved. And if we can prove that the customer experience has increased, then I think people are willing to invest based on that KPI as well. But just saying that employee satisfaction was up and quality is now 100% without showing actually real data that it changed, I think that's the difference.
That's a good point. Good. Clementine, any thoughts on this?
I have to agree with Jacob.
Okay, that's fine. Then I have another question for you. So sometimes you could say companies are struggling a little bit with anchoring business automation initiatives. It seems like the category or domain sits somehow in between business and IT. Sometimes it is placed solely within IT, and it has some pros and cons. Sometimes it is positioned inside business, and it has also pros and cons. It seems like companies are still a little bit struggling with how to govern that aspect in terms of you could say the global responsibility split. Any thoughts on this? Where should it live? Who should be in the driver's seat in terms of driving the scale, etc.? Business or IT?
Yeah, I think for sure that ideally IT and businesses should work together, of course, and that IT should be at the service of business. It should accompany businesses to help them introduce new technology and work towards digital transformation. It's not always the case, though. And as Duarte was saying earlier, I think having champions in between business and IT would be ideal and a great way of working, but I don't see it a lot.
I think maybe, or hopefully, kind of modern business automation is what finally tears down some of these barriers in large companies between business and IT, because every initiative will fail if you put it 100% in IT or 100% in business. It's not possible to put it in one of those boxes. But I also think it's a bit, company specific where the ownership should be. I've worked with business automation in my last 2 companies. In my previous company, it was very clear to me that it should be based in business, and that would have the best effect. Today, I'm driving an automation team who is based in the CTO organization, and I feel that's the right place for this company. So I think it's a lot where you have the competence and the drive and the skills and so forth. And if you have it in technology needs to be a very business-driven technology organization. And if you have it in business, you need to have a very close relationship with your technology peers who can help you build the platform, because it is not just, you know, install it and scale it. It requires a bit of design thinking, and a lot of this thinking is stuff that IT has been thinking about for 50 years.
Yes, I agree with everything that was said. I think thinking in our specific case, I think that we see this at least with business owners at the driver's seat, be it for the knowledge, deeper knowledge of business and of the processes, for that drive and that continuous improvement mindset, which is more natural in the business teams. But using the same analogy, IT needs to be in the seat next to it as a co-pilot, because IT will be critical to support many of these initiatives with more technical and needs and requirements, but also helping to identify what could be the pockets of opportunity for automation, because in the end, automation in many cases will help IT having solutions that are easier, faster, and much less costly to implement than using other solutions, which would include systems integration, which include application development, etc. So in the end, this is a win-and-win situation for both parties. Something that I think that is also critical, because it's not business nor IT, it's a third party here. I think that implementers or consulting companies or the advisors of RPA also play a major role, not only in initial stage of ramping up this kind of initiatives, but also going forward, because that partnership needs to happen on an ongoing basis, because they will add a lot also regarding the management and the acceleration of the pipeline of automation initiatives. They will help with the automation of more complex processes. So even if it has external partners, we need to have a continuous dialogue.
Nice. That's very interesting. That part, definitely, Eduard. The role that a service company can take in helping organizations start or scale or do some kind of different managed service, something like that. Well, I'd like to go a little bit.
Let me just say one thing, but in the end, each reality will have its specific requirements, but the definition of clear organizational roles, the split of responsibilities, the definition of interaction flows between all these stakeholders, be it internal stakeholders or external stakeholders, it's crucial, because if you have everything very well structured and very clear for the organization, adapted to the needs of each organization, then this will be one of the ingredients for success.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Just a quick thought. Sorry. I just want to say that one of the things that I see happening sometimes is that companies or public organizations, they realize the need for bringing IT people and business people together, but you can say the shape you can use only offers the project model, where it's a temporary organization. So I think that it's, and of course I think it needs to be a permanent thing if you go beyond the pilot. So I think that being willing to experiment a little bit with reorganizing outside the classical organizational diagrams is also perhaps a lever. So just a thought.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Sorry, Pedro.
No worries, Miko. Well, we talk about opportunities that may rise from the business side, and the three of you working in different companies, different sectors. Well, what are your thoughts looking at the future? If we look ahead a couple of years, what can be the space that automation can take in your organizations or in your sector, for instance? Where do you see this technology evolve and to help you go to a next level in terms of organization? What space do you see that automation can take? Jacob, do you want to start?
Yeah, so I think from my perspective, I see and I hope that it will be kind of an integrated part of our business, and not only as technology evolves, but also as our skills in the organization generally evolves. I think, in the future, everyone will be equipped maybe more with this mindset to go and find potential for automation, and also be a bit questioning about their jobs. And, should I really do this repeating work every week? Cannot someone help me with this? And I think we will, measure productivity more and more. And I think automation will then be something that, it will just be everywhere in the organization. May it be robotics automation or some other kind of automation. I don't think that matters. But I don't see I think the technology have come now pretty far, and it's quite available. I think to take the next kind of elevator step, it's more about the people and the skills and the mindset. Obviously, technology will improve as well and help even further. But I don't think it's the challenge with scaling today is not technology related. I think it's more on the people side and really making the best out of it.
Great. Duarte,
Yes. So from my point of view, and if I try to envision what should be the near future, I probably look at this at 3 different lenses. So from implementation point of view, I think that the relationship between companies and the advisors or the implementers that help them with these kind of initiatives needs to be reconfigured. So we need to move much more from a project capex basis to an ongoing automation factory-like model, and to shared benefits approaches and different ways of pricing these initiatives and implementing these initiatives. So I think this is one thing that I'd expect looking forward. The second one, looking at the technology perspective, I think that we have been talking recently a lot about the role of AI in automation, but I still lack the many use cases and regarding these applications. So I think that we need to mature this kind of technology to have it much more widespread usage, and I like to see how that can play a part moving forward, because that will be game changing if you can really implement this with scale. And in the end, I think that regarding processes and looking at our business, we certainly want to move to more sophisticated and core business processes, because those are the ones that will have a much wider and cross-company impact. But for that, we still have challenges regarding stabilization of these processes, regarding re-engineering of other, regarding solving some legacy issues that we have from the past, because only after that we'll be able to scale and then add on more and more sophisticated, complex, and impactful processes in our organization.
Great. Thank you, Duarte. Clementine, do you want to add your vision on the future?
Yeah, sure. I agree with what Jacob and Duarte said. And also, I think with the COVID crisis, we saw a tremendous acceleration of RPA adoption. So I think that companies will tend to have more processes developed and everything. As Duarte said, I think artificial intelligence is going to be very important in the RPA world. And hopefully, we are going to be able to work on more intelligence process automation. So I think that in the coming years, the number of RPA application will increase, and hopefully the scope of application will expand more and more, and we will see the impact on the businesses. And also, I think something that's really interesting is that we are seeing a growth in the RPA community. And so we can share with each other what we are doing, our approaches, and yeah, so pretty much like we are doing today, right? Our talk, exchanging on different approaches and different companies are working with automated processes. I think it's really interesting.
Okay, great. So one of the things before, let me just add one thing. I think it's it's all we agree that the role of data is critical, because if you want to take advantage, if you want to move automation to a more artificial intelligence enabled world, data will play a key role. Data that we need to collect and we need to treat, so that data is available for, okay, we can use automation as a business enabler in the end. Great. Thank you so much to all of you.
So I was thinking what we see the you can say the enterprise platform or the robotics platforms, they have matured a lot over the past years and perhaps become enterprise grade for real. We also see how the technologies are converging, and low code data tools, etc., is kind of blending now quite fast, and we see as a consequence that the toolbox is expanding. So on paper, at least, it should be possible to apply even more sophisticated what I call it use cases or application scenarios. How do you see this? Are we ready to take on real? We've been talking about it for some years, but are we ready to really take on processes that works with the decision-making logic, cognitive stuff, real end-to-end process, customer-facing stuff, etc., etc.? Are we moving in that direction, or is it still a bit too soon? How do you see this?
I think we are moving into that direction, but I think that we still need people to trust automated processes, and maybe we need more time on that. But on the technical part, I would say that we are ready. Teams have more experience, and they are eager to develop more complex processes.
Yeah, I fully agree as well. I think AI doesn't need to be a black box decision or decision black box that just throws out a result that no one understands. I think AI can also be just, consuming available services that throws you a result based on a request. And I think those kind of services will be more and more easy to consume also in low code tools. And I think, for everyone to take the benefit of these smart AI tools. I think it's coming more and more. And today, anyone can consume a face recognition AI service from Microsoft or Google or whomever in a very, technically very easy way.
Yes, I also agree. I think that we are moving into that direction. I think that as a business, we are prepared for that and want to make that jump. I think that technology-wise, I still don't see, as you said, Mikkel, all the applications, all the use cases probably that we like right now, just to really speed up that process of moving into more sophisticated and cross-company business processes. I think that is a journey that everyone in this space is doing, but in the end, as Clementine was saying, I think that also a key role here has to do with trying to convince the people that are on the front lines and to make them trust on the process, trust on the technology, trust on this overall approach, because as we said many times, they are the ones that will push this forward. So we have some work to do there on that kind of advocacy with those people.
Okay, makes sense. All right. Any last thoughts, comments, or experiences you want to share on the future of business automation?
The future is brilliant in automation, from what we have seen from our guests, right?
Yeah, I think the future is brilliant. I'm thinking a little bit around these enterprise platforms who are, they are becoming quite advanced, but also quite expensive. And I foresee a future maybe where business teams are combining maybe more advanced technology, but also with more cheaper and more simple technology, because a lot of business processes up for automation is also possible to automate with simpler and less advanced tools. So finding that combination to have an enterprise-ready platform, so to say, but still consume the simpler and the cheaper tools at the same time to not grow gigantic license costs and so forth. I think that I think most business will realize that as well, that it is possible to build a bit or build a big robot farm without buying licenses only from the big vendors.
Interesting point. That I think Gartner predicted that 2 years ago, that the whole license structure would be disrupted within 2 years. So it might be about now. So quite interesting. Okay, guys, we could discuss these topics for hours, but unfortunately time is up for us. But thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules and for joining the conversation and for sharing your views. Clementine, Jakob, and Duarte, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. And for all of you watching online, thank you for your attention as well. We hope you liked the discussion, and if you want to know more, we invite you to download the still fresh ebook from IDC that we wrote. It's titled "How Automation-Led Strategies Transforms Employee and Customer Experiences." So it touches upon some of the same topics that we have covered today. And there will be a download link in the comment section. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section as well, and we will do the best to provide an answer. And keep an eye on the Devoteam LinkedIn page as well, where we will be announcing future Devotalk roundtable sessions. So again, thanks a lot for your time. Take care and stay safe.